All right, for the problem of the day, these are diamond problems. You need to find two numbers that multiply to this top number. In this case, it's -10, and add to the bottom. So those two numbers are 5 and -2. 5 times -2 is -10. 5 plus -2 is 3. You might want to hit pause for a second and fill out the rest of the problem of the day. When you are ready, go ahead and unfreeze it and check your answers. That would be -5 or -9 and 5, multiplies to -45, adds to -4. 4 times 3 is 12, 4 plus 3 is 7, -4 times -3 is 12, add them and you get -7. All right, today we are going to be factoring, and I think the date is actually the 11th. And we're going to be factoring trinomials. So let's talk about what I mean when I say factoring trinomials. We have done quite a bit already of excuse me, of multiplying. That would be x squared. That'd be 2x. That would be plus x. And that would be plus 2. Combine your middle terms and you get x squared plus 3x plus 2. All right, so we have done a lot of this. What we're going to do now is actually the opposite. I'm going to give you that trinomial of x squared plus 3x plus 2, and you're going to break it down into the two sets of parentheses. In this case, it was x plus 1 and x plus 2. These are referred to as your factors. And that's where the name factoring comes from. So let's go ahead and do an example. I have the directions written down off to the side, and I've done that for each one. If I were in your situation, I'd probably make sure that I have these directions, and as long as you follow these directions, you're going to get it every single time. So the first step is you want to multiply the leading coefficient with the constant. Well, my leading coefficient in this case is 1. If it's not written, it's 1. And this is a lot of times what I refer to as an easy factor, because that leading coefficient is 1. After you've done this a few times, you're probably going to see some shortcuts. So you multiply that leading coefficient with that, and you get 7. Same number, it doesn't change. Just rewrite the problem, and you're left with b squared plus 8b plus 7. So this one didn't really change. So it's not a big deal. Now we're going to do a diamond problem. Just like we did on that problem of the day. We need to find two numbers that multiply to 7. So multiply to 7 and add to 8. Those two numbers are 7 and 1. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. So we did that step. Now we want to write our factors. And when I write those factors, I do two sets of parentheses. And my factors were 7, so plus 7 because it's positive. And that's a positive 1, so it'll be plus 1. I'm going to go ahead and work through these last two steps, even though it doesn't really matter because my coefficient is 1. We want to divide by the original leading coefficient. Well, that was 1. And as you can tell, it doesn't change its value at all. So 7 divided by 1 is just 7. So b plus 7. And that simplifies down, whoops, that simplifies down to 1 as well, 1 over 1. So b plus 1. And we just broke it down to its factors. Let's go ahead and do another one. So on this one, we have b squared plus 16b plus 64. My leading coefficient is 1. You multiply, and it's not going to change the value whatsoever. So b squared plus 16b plus 64. I've done the first 2 steps. Let's do a diamond problem. And the more you do this, you're probably going to do some of these in your head. It needs to multiply to 64, add to 16. Those 2 numbers are 8 and 8. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 plus 8 is 16. Write my factors. I guess I could have put write my factors inside of parentheses. So I'm going to get b plus 8 b plus 8. And the next steps are going to be bigger deal in a little bit when we get some of the harder problems. Divide by the original coefficient, which in this case was 1. Well, 8 divided by 1 is still 8. So I'm just going to go ahead and erase that because it doesn't change the value. So that's going to be my answer right here. If you wanted to get fancy, you could have written it as b plus 8 quantity squared. That would have been another way because those are the same binomials, same factors. This is just another way of writing it. All right, why don't you hit pause, try this one on your own, and see how you do. When you are ready, check your answer. Hit 6 right there. So it doesn't change the value at all. It's still going to be n squared minus 5n plus 6. I'm going to do my diamond. Needs to multiply to 6, add to negative 5. Ooh, this one's trickier because it has a negative down there, so I'm probably thinking a negative number. And so since it has to multiply to be positive, they're both going to be negative. In this case, our numbers are negative 3, negative 2. They multiply to 6, add to negative 5. So n minus 3, n minus 2. And if I do my divide, I'm still going to end up with n minus 3, n minus 2. We haven't really dealt with anything that doesn't divide evenly. That'll be coming up shortly, like right now. So here, oops, where did that come from? Ignore that, we don't need that. On this one, we finally have a coefficient other than 3 or other than 1. It's a 3. We're going to multiply that and you get 12. Rewrite the problem. And when we write it, it's just going to be n squared minus 8n, and that's a positive 12, so plus 12. Now we do our diamond problem. It needs to multiply to 12, add to negative 8. They're both going to be negative. And I'm thinking negative 6 and negative 2. Negative 6 times negative 2 is 12. Negative 6 plus negative 2 is negative 8. Now we want to write our factors. And since they're negative, it's going to be minus n minus 6, n minus 2. Now we're going to divide by that original coefficient, which is 3. So divide by 3, divide by 3. Well, 3 does go into 6 evenly. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 does not go into 2. So we finally get to do step number 6. If it doesn't divide evenly, we're going to slide it. So we're going to take that 3 and we're going to slide it in front. So that becomes 3n minus 2. If you wrote it as 3n minus 2 times n minus 2, that would be correct as well. Either one of those is good. Let's go ahead and do another one. Start by multiplying. 2 times 2 is 4. Rewrite your problem. N squared plus 5n plus 4. Do a factor tree. Not a factor tree, a diamond. Needs to multiply to 4, add to 5. Now 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. Rewrite using your factors. N plus 4. N plus 1. Now we need to divide by 2. Divide that by 2. That by 2. Well, 2 does go into 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so I'm going to get n plus 2. One cannot be divided by 2. Doesn't go in there. I'm going to slide that in front, and I'm going to get 2n plus 1. Here's my final answer. Why don't you hit pause? Try this one on your own. When you're ready, open it up and see how you did. When you multiply, that's going to be negative 100 because you're taking a positive times a negative. So I'm going to get n squared minus 15n minus 100. Do my diamond. It needs to multiply to negative 100 and add to negative 15. This one's kind of hard because it's got those big numbers. If you have a hard time, make a little table of how can you multiply to negative 100. So negative 1 multiplied to negative 100. You could do negative 1 times 100, negative 2 times 100, or times 50, I'm sorry. 3 doesn't work. Negative 4 times 25. And what we're trying to do is find something that adds to negative 15. That's a no. That's a no. Negative 4 plus 25 is 21, so that would be a no. So let's see. Does 5 go in there? 5, negative 5 times 20 gives me negative 100. And that would add up to be 15. Well, we're looking for negative 15. It's close, but it's still a no. Let's try switching the signs. Negative 20 and 5. That would add up to negative 15. So that would be a yes. So my numbers here would be negative 20 and 5. So now we want to write using my factors, n minus 20 n plus 5. I want to divide by the coefficient, which is 4. Well, that can be reduced. 20 over 4 is 5, so I'm going to have n minus 5. That can't be reduced, 5 over 4, so I need to slide the 4 in front, and I'm going to get 4n plus 5. And there is my final answer. And again, if I ever wanted to check my work, all I would have to do is FOIL that out and end up with 4n squared minus 15n minus 25. All right, that's all we have. Work on your worksheet now.